You can hear it.
I'm in extreme pain. And then they're like, do you have another one in you? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So he lunges again, and now it's just flapping, So my tricep is just flapping in there, kind of like the inside of a bell, if you can imagine that. And then the director, second unit director, he's like, all right, can we shoot this? Can you do it where, is your arm broken? I was like, I think so. Can you play it off where it's not? I was like, yeah, I got this. So, yeah, so
Sure.
that's some true acting right there.
Right. Being in the industry,
Yeah.
you when you're not working, you want to ask somebody, hey, what's going on in the work world?
Right.
Or what's happening in Hollywood? What's going on in Atlanta? What's going on? And I am very fortunate. I sit in a few different nucleus of actors like Chris. So I get a lot of info. I deal with a lot of agents. So I kind of have this hub. So a lot of people will call me during COVID. They're like, is anything going on? What's happening with and then during the strike, I said, I need to do something to scale my response. Like, I was like, am I going to start a blog from like the 90s? Like, am I going back in time?
Blogger.net.
And I was like, I'm like, okay. And then everybody's like, dude, you need a podcast. And I'm like, everybody's got a podcast. What do I need a podcast? And they're like, no. It'll just targeted the industry. So I've had some big influencers on here. I've had the PBS, had the chair in New York Film Academy.
Okay.
Actually, I'm filming for them on Tuesday. So I've focusing the podcast and this content on people in the industry who are working and have information to share other than, who were we just talking about? J-Lo. She doesn't experience what 90% of the industry's work. No. Don't get me wrong, it's wonderful, but I can watch 100 shows with J-Lo.
Right.
But that's not gonna help me become J-Lo, or it may make me feel great about being a fan of hers or not. But so what I decided is I just wanna chop it up with people in the industry that I like. That's why I had Carlos, who runs Universal. I had Chris Perez, he knows everybody down here. I love him. He's brother. So that's where the podcast kind of went. Just started as one of these things. I'm like, I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And I think I got a few thousand followers, but what's funny is I'm the worst. All my buddies in social media are like, you got to tell everybody, like, subscribe to this. I'm like, I feel like organically they'll get there, but I have been getting a lot of direct messages like, hey, really love that thing on, what Chris was saying. And so what's cool is and I'm sure you understand this being in the industry, what was going on 5 years ago is so irrelevant to how you would get into, like, the industry is absolutely thrashing right now. So even shit from before the strike has changed dramatically. A movie I'm shooting, or I'm helping my buddy shoot right now, is literally, they just worked through all the union contracts, and this is 60 days ago, 90 days ago, he was thrashing through new contracts. And he's in the industry and knows what he's doing, made movies. So I feel like having this voice, this pulpit, helps people. And that's when I was talking with Chris, and he mentioned you, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to get a local guy. Come on, I always want people working. And of course, I just saw the movie Fall Guy, and I know a little bit about stunts.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, I love your background. And actually, I know, here, Chris, throw this to me. Let me see if you've ever seen this before.
Oh, man.
What?
Oh,
what?
Of course.
Where's that from?
Wow. Stunts Unlimited. These are my guys. This is
JJ Perry?
I've actually hadn't had the pleasure of working with JJ Perry.
JJ Perry and I go back 15 years ago.
Really?
Bro. He gave me this hat in LA.
This is
15 years ago.
This is amazing.
I knew your head would be like, what?
This is amazing. So these are my guys. Stunts Unlimited are the folks who directly a week or 2 weeks after Bad Boys, I went off and they shipped me to Colombia to work on SEAL Team. This is who
I knew
brought
you were,
me on. So I have nothing but love for Stunts Unlimited.
These guys. Well, that's what's funny, because people don't realize the community, and that's what I'm excited to. I shouldn't throw it. I'll just let you place it over there. But yeah, so no, do not eat that hat. He's like, Dad, hat. No, so honestly, Oh,
I'll bring it back
he's
to you.
retrieving it.
I'll bring it back to you.
I'll
Yeah,
take the
yeah.
hat. No, look at him. He's like, no, let go of the hat. It's puppies.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll just pop that over here for now.
I remember getting the call from them. They're like, after hey, we have an exciting opportunity for you, and for SEAL Team, they love you. You ready to come down to Colombia? I was like, what? What? Of course. And being with this organization,
They're
these
solid
are
guys. Well, I knew
professionals.
15. I haven't talked to JJ in probably 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And here, Chris, I'll toss that to you. So, Chris obviously shared a lot of the background, but then
Yeah.
I went on the web and saw you've done some awesome stuff.
Oh, thank you, man.
When did you get started?
I got started. It started in '09. I did a student film that I think it was, so they're no longer around. It's the Art Institute of Miami. I think I think,
I know. Yeah,
I think
Miami's had a
COVID shut them
tough
down,
time.
basically. Yeah. So I did a student film with them, and it was absolutely horrible. My performance was horrible. Everything about it was 100% cringeworthy.
That's why they're student films. You got to get started somewhere.
So that was in '09. I started then, I'm like, oh man, I got to get into a class. And I started taking classes and doing workshops. And I came across Lori Weinman, who's a boss in her own right down here. And such a sweet lady, but tough as nails. She's a casting director that's been casting since back in Miami Vice days.
Yep.
So through her, I met her husband, Mark McCauley, who's also, a local and has been working as an actor since like the early '80s. Also worked on Miami Vice and stuff like that. So he took me under his wing, and I started doing workshops with him, and I just honed in on everything. He opened his toolbox, his arsenal, let's say.
That's fabulous.
And I just started just taking
And what year was
everything.
this?
This is this is years later. This is in 2012.
Okay.
And then I ended up booking my first, so professionally, so flirting with it.
Right.
I will take some water.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
I know we're going to be doing a lot of talking.
And we'll work our way up.
I'm excited for your gift or your sampler.
Yeah, it is.
I want to hear all about it. We're not going to. Yes.
Yeah. And then I
We
started.
start with water on a side.
Yeah.
Then we'll
Cheers in the water. So then, come 2012, I booked my first professional movie, TV role, which is on Burn Notice. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I remember walking on there, and they're telling me that so they're like, action, and I'm like, action what? It was just like it was
That's
an
awesome,
amazing
though.
experience.
That's right.
I remember sitting down with the extras, and they're like, no, you have your own chair over there, and then they sit me down, with the leads and stuff like that, or the folks that are the stars of the show.
Right.
It was just what an experience, a whirlwind, and I'm like, I left that set and that working that, and I'm like, I want more.
Very cool.
And so
You
that's
got-
where
you got the bug.
That's where it started. That's
That's awesome.
Burn Notice.
Did you grow up down in Florida?
So I came to America. That sounds funny, right? I came
I think that's a movie. I think.
came to America. Yeah. So I came to the United States of America when I was 5 years old. We started off in Bangor, Maine on a student visa. My dad came on a student visa. We worked our way down to warmer climate, which is down here, and then we stuck around here. And we gave it another shot, went back to Venezuela when I was 13, and that was getting chaotic over there politically.
Yeah.
The political climate just had the country in just bad place to be at the time. And any hint of an American, even we weren't American, but they were picking up on stuff, and you were treated differently, let's say.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because this is the imperialist nation, and
Gotcha.
America's not welcome. Americans are not welcomed over there. Anyhow, so we gave it another shot. When I was 13 years old, my parents came back here, and then we stuck around. And that's when we said, okay, this is
The home.
Yeah, this is home. Yeah. So,
Very cool.
which I am glad. I am thankful to my parents because right now, I don't think I would be alive right now. You know, it is.
It's a shame. I mean, without getting into all the political
Yeah.
views, the one benefit is all the great people that come to this country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a shame that people have to leave their country,
Yes.
but at least we're still a place where, well, I mean, God knows how many comments I'll get alone on that statement. But,
Look,
oh boy,
I
especially being in Miami, but you know what I mean.
I'm Latin.
My dad came to this country, so
Right.
escaped, came
From
here
where?
From Romania.
Romania.
Europe, actually. And,
So I am Latin. I'm proud to be a Venezuelan and everything, but I am the proudest to be American, and because I'm alive because this country provided an opportunity for me and for my family. So I will never, and I know this may seem a little like it's weird, right? That it would seem like a little bit controversial, but I wear the American flag and proudly,
Yeah.
and I rock it.
I
you
get
know?
it. I know.
But that somehow has become.
Somehow that's, yeah.
But yeah. So, but
Times
yeah.
things
Times
move
are
around.
just-
Yeah, the current sometimes.
Why that should sort of sound
I
like
know,
a
why we're
little
almost like
inkling, why I should be somewhat hesitant to say that I'm a proud American is
Yeah.
it gives you a pretty good idea of the times that we're in.
Exactly.
Which is odd, but we're not going to get into that.
I was going to say, we need to stay clear of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We'll get
Yeah.
millions of views, but it's going to
But
get
yeah.
it. Yeah, I think we both know how each other feel.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
yeah.
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 It's like,
Especially in
okay.
and let's go for
And it's
now It's time
Hollywood.
for tequila. No,
Yeah, right.
But no, and the only reason I ask that is, how everybody gets started and where they come from is a really unique perspective in the film world. Because
Yeah.
when you watch a movie, there's a lot of different people and a lot of different,
Right.
representation, whatever that means. And so it's great being here in Miami to see. I mean, Miami, you just mentioned in the 80s and 90s, it was booming in the film
Yeah.
world. Now it's
Absolutely.
I don't want to say it, but it's kind of dead. They'll film a few scenes here for some of the bigger features.
Yes.
But what I love is the resurgence of a lot of people, I think, who are coming here and being creative. They're,
Right.
You're getting that what we call the barbell. The middle's getting squeezed,
Mm-hmm.
and the bigger really going bigger, and a lot less, and a lot more people are like, I got to create my own content.
Right.
I got to make. So I was just saying, I'm seeing some new movies. Tuesday, I'm filming the Martini shot of a 5-week shoot of a feature. And
amazing.
so it's great to be, and that's down the street in Coral Gables. So I like to see I think we're in a really cool transition in this industry now. Going back, like why the industry is absolute it's thrashing, it's in flux, but I think out of it, the actors, the artists, they're getting together, if you will, and creating. I'm starting to feel that. And even like next week is VidCon, and YouTube's going, let's go longer format. So all these days of like 13-second videos,
Right.
I think I'm hoping we're getting past that point.
Right.
Or now we're getting back into content. That's just, I don't know if that's a...
Yeah, no, technology has moved, it keeps moving the needle. Whereas, filming a simple short, 5 years ago even, was a lot more of a mission, was a lot more of a big engagement.
Right.
Whereas now, you have, kids that, I say kids, but whatever, college students or people that don't, with a budget of an iPhone and a couple $100, you can shoot a movie.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see the content and the creation of this new wave of material and creators that are coming online and creating some very, very cool stuff. I mean, look, the SAG recently, I think it was like 2 years ago, Chris Perez from Universal Studios, he's here, he would probably know, but they now SAG recognizes the TikTokers and allows them to join the union, which I thought was just wow.
Yeah.
Not that I'm against it, but it's a sign of the times.
Right.
So all this stuff, you gotta acknowledge it, because these content creators are not going anywhere. They're here to stay, and some of them are creating some pretty cool stuff.
So what you just said is, to me, where Hollywood really lost it. It's kind of like, and if you think for 1 second, how much time are you going to spend on your phone? Because we consume by phone, maybe
Right.
TV at home. But the reality is, what are you going to do? An hour, maybe 2 hours a day?
Right.
I mean, yeah, you're on social now where all the kids are spending 8 hours a day on all this.
Right.
But if you're like, I want to watch a show, I want to be educated I'm talking from a different market, everything's vying for that same eyeballs. The same eyeballs, whether Hollywood's making it for $400 million, $1 billion.
Right.
If you're going to go see the new Dune, you know what I'm saying? That's 2 hours you're not watching. So it's all in competition for each other when it comes to entertainment.
100%.
And that's where I think you're going to see. We have a buddy who's speaking of. We'll see you in a bit, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.
Taking off.
Have a good one.
Get to dinner.
Get to dinner.
Get to dinner.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, and that's where it's interesting for me, like you just said, because I think they were really late to the game. But now,
Yeah.
you'll appreciate this as an actor. I've seen this because I deal with so many different people in the industry. I think Hollywood hired a bunch of influencers thinking they're actors. And I'm not saying some aren't talented, but it's
Right.
very different when you're doing a TikTok and you're holding your phone and you're directing yourself and you're looking at it. But when you show up on set and there's 80 people around you,
Right.
and I'm like, yo, G-Rod, do they get good? It's completely the opposite of you're in control
Yes.
versus somebody else in control.
And not only that, but I think that, kind of piggybacking on that, I think that it's cool in from one perspective that all this stuff is coming online and we have a lot more content to consume, but you can't forego the training that goes into this. And I'm coming across simply because I'm out there and this is my line of work, so I do come across some of these content creators, and I find it interesting that they'll push out these videos and stuff. And it looks great, and then I'll get on, let's say, so-called set and work with them, and then they freeze, and it's just like, it's interesting to
Deer in
see.
headlights,
and
I've seen it so many-
and
like,
I'm looking at
the
these
nervous
deer
thing.
in the headlights, and they're sweating, and I'm, what is going on right now?
Dude,
You got 3 million followers. You're putting out all this stuff, so I don't know what's happening between, but what I am identifying and I'm able to deduce on my own is that a lot of people are foregoing the training. A lot of people are choosing to just jump from here to here instead of doing what I did, which is in '09. I got the itch. I'm like, I gotta do this. It was horrible. I was nervous, sweating, and the whole nine. And I said, no, you know what? I'm gonna jump into training. So for 4 years, it was all training. I was in class, workshops, and I didn't put myself out there. I didn't want to read for casting directors. It was years and years of training, breaking down the walls, and then reaching a point where not myself, other professionals told me, hey, you're ready. You sure? Yeah, you're ready. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of people foregoing the work, and they don't want to, I guess I will say, pay their dues in a classroom. Get in a class and break down some of those walls and those emotional barriers and work your way to a facility where you can easily get into your emotional arsenal and identify what works for you and what doesn't, because you don't have the time to figure it out when you're working on a major production. It's like the director's like, okay, G-Rod, go ahead and stand there. All right, we're ready to go. Oh no, hold on, I got to figure this out. I got to see how I can work these emotional tools, what works for me. There's no time for that. So that, what I call, switch, being able to hit that switch when you need to on right there and then, you can't do that unless you go through the training.
Exactly.
So it's cool in a sense that these content creators are going out there, but do not, I would tell any one of them, and I've told them many times, when I see the deer in the headlights, I'm like, you got to get into a classroom.
Yeah.
You got to get into workshop. You got to work with some of these guys. Look, I come across people down here in South Florida that they'll be at it for 6 months and they're like, I'm moving to Hollywood. What?
I know. I'm so glad you're saying this.
You were working,
I get in trouble if I say it, but boy,
you were working at a tan salon, a minute ago, and you graduate.
I went and took 2 classes.
What is going on right
like,
now?
yeah.
So I'll send them to my good friends at Universal Acting and stuff like that, and I'll say, look, you got to get into a class. You got to. No, I want it now. I want it now. I'm looking at leases in Los Angeles. What is? What?
Where are you? What? Where are you?
What do you understand what needs to go into? Do you no? Look, so just take it. I think that's what's happened, right? Because technology has moved.
It's made it so easy for
Yeah.
anybody.
So it's moved this younger generation to the point where they feel that it's so simple and easy, but the patience has gone out the window. Understand that this is a process.
It's been called a craft forever, and it's a craft.
It is.
It's not a.
Yes.
And people miss that aspect. So,
Yeah. So and I can't tell you how many times I have like people send me DMs, and just like, oh man, I can do that. Look, that looks so easy. And can I get your agent's contact information? I was like, I had to throw 100 different self-tapes, auditions against the wall to make that one that you like stick. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Chris is laughing because we know.
Yeah, I have a casting director here, Chris. He chuckled, but that's the reality. I'm glad you like. There's 100 that hit that wall and fell right off before that final opportunity that you saw, that audition, that self-tape made its way through the pipeline and onto your screen.
Yeah.
So this whole thing, and all you're doing is just sitting there talking. I can do that. Let me get your agent's phone. What is going on right now? That you weren't doing anything. You were just sitting there talking. Okay, all right. I shot something with my friend. Let me send it to your agent. I can't tell you how many times I get this. Wow. It happens a lot.
Really?
A lot, and I don't even know
That's
these people.
That's because I hide on social media.
Yeah,
but I have the podcast here for people. So I get messages, and I'm like, for where you live, start training, go local.
It's truly amazing to me because I think that I look at documentaries and stuff from like back in the 70s, back in the 80s, and De Niro coming up and Hoffman coming up, and they had that mindset that no, I'm not ready. I thank you for the opportunity, but I'm not ready. That is not for me, simply because I don't have the emotional the tools in my emotional arsenal to really make that work for me. Now it's just like me. Now. Let's go. Let's TikTok. Let's do it.
I'll add to this. I'll let you take a breath and grab here. Give you some more water because you're absolutely right. Last week I was at a screening at the AFI, which the AFI is the American Film Institute.
Okay.
I will say this because Hollywood Reporter. I'll repeat what Hollywood Reporter said. It's the best film school in the world.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's not a film school. AFI.
AFI.
It's in right in Hollywood. Trying to remember next to the Sony and Warner Brothers. I was just there last week. I'm blanking. Anyway, but to get in, it's a class ratio of 6 maximum students to 1 teacher.
Okay.
It's called a conservatory, not a film school. It's $100,000 to walk in the door for 1 semester. It's the reason, and so why I'm telling you this is they do thousands of interviews. 6 to 8 directors get in to make a short. Mm-hmm. My son got picked for one. We were there for the screening. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is we're all there for the screening, and I was chatting with the director because she did a fabulous job. But I was asking her about the audio work she did. And we were even talking, because it was all industry people, the color palette she had, designing the wardrobe for everybody on. Wow. It's a 13-minute short.
Right.
Yes, it's going to air. It's called Evil Eye. It's going to go around to the circuit, Sundance Con. But this short, AFI is a nonprofit, but it would have cost $500,000 to make this show. It was really, I was like blown away. But like you said, if people just watch it online, they have no idea the amount of work and the color palettes. And they had set designers and the amount of work that goes into making that scene so it feels, and from color theory, from the Foley, we call it, where it's the pouring of the water, and the audio engineering and the levels, and then obviously everybody just thinks you're just standing there. And the lighting. I mean, even here in this little studio, we've got a light curtain going. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making something look a little better than here. And like you said, and that comes from the craft. It's learning from other people, being on set, working with other great talent, and you get under somebody's wing because they see something in you. Seen it in millions. Anyway, so I'm following on to what you're saying.
No, and you're 100% right. There's a process to all this. There's people that are in that short film that have expertise in their respective areas. They've put in the work, and it's just interesting to see how this new generation's come online. And it's just, from the acting perspective, they just think it's just like, I'm telling you, it happens a lot.
They just throw lines
You're
out.
just talking.
I call it line reading.
You're just
when
talking.
I see that, you can look and be like, you're line reading.
You're just
and they're like, what do you
talking,
mean?
and then you fell. I can fall. It's like, what is this guy?
No.
You can you fall and not hurt yourself and no, but don't they have like a pad? No, there's no pad. There's concrete.
Right.
No, but you didn't fall on your face on concrete. What are you talking about? Didn't CGI and remove the pad? I was like, there's no pad there.
Right.
But you're just talking. And you're falling, and
it's got to be very frustrating after. You kind of just have to.
Was there like a cut? No, there's no cut. I'm handling, in one case, speaking just what comes to mind.
What comes to mind,
is Better Call Saul. There's I'm shooting. I'm shooting, and there's a certain amount of shots before I look and see that I'm empty, and then I have to run. Then you got to drop a line, and then you got to hit the ground, and your face has to hit the pavement, so I see, it's a little bit more complicated, those.
Oh, and how
there's no time
times?
they couldn't slide in a pad. I'm not doing that, so. And then I've had a situation where I had somebody roll up on me at the airport, and they're like, oh man, I want to get into it and everything, and I'm like, he wouldn't let me get to my gate. Can you? And this was at the time that Power just came out, and it was just fanatic crazy because that's a huge show. And they're like, "Oh man, I can send you my acting." I was like, "I don't." And then there's that ignorance that I don't hire.
That's not on your.
What are you sending me? I have a reel I put together with my buddies in my garage. Whatever. It's like, okay, great. So what you want to do is, get into a class, and it's like, no, but let me send it to you. So when they call and they need a guy like me, who's gonna call me?
Yeah, right. They're not. They're people just the general misunderstanding of how the industry works.
What do you mean when they call me, my guy, who I just met at the airport, and I'm trying to get to gate 9? Nobody's gonna call me. I just show up. They tell me what to say. Where to fight and drop on the ground.
Right.
That's it. That's all. So this particular instance, he kind of got me like, all right, so you're.
Whoa. What'd you think you heard? He got excited.
Yeah, he got excited.
All right.
I was like, all right, you know what? You're an actor and stuff. I can't hire you. Let's do this. You're at a bank right now. And you're gonna rob me. I'm behind the teller. He's like, oh, I can't do it right now because we're at the airport. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
There's like 100. There's people walking by. I said, don't even worry about it. And then I just go in. I said, so got it? You're robbing me.
Right.
And go. And I'm like, oh my God. Just please, sir, don't hurt me. And he's like, what are you doing right now? What do you want? What do you want from me? And that sort of stuff. He's like, no, man, I can't do that right now. I got to have time to mentally prepare. I was like, my guy, what do you? What do you do? So that's the switch I was like referring to.
Right.
That being able to have that switch, and nobody's gonna pamper you on a set. When you get into this world.
Wait, speaking of not being pampered, can you tell us a little bit what just happened?
Sorry?
What just happened with your arm?
Oh,
I mean, come on, because everybody's probably watching.
There's no pampering.
There's zero pamper. This is a perfect segue. Tell us about how no pampering happens.
Yeah, there was no pampering on Bad Boys Ride or Die in theaters now.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is.
Tell everybody the scene.
Yeah, well, the scene is I'm getting chased by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. So what's interesting is that we shot if you watch the movie, it's a museum. and I start shooting at them in the museum. So we're in Atlanta, and then I run out, and then we're in Miami. So, but obviously, you guys don't know that.
Right, nobody knows.
This all happens in Miami.
Right.
But you know that's
Yes.
touching on what you said, that you can't. There's certain parts of if you can't recreate Miami in certain instances. You need the backdrop. You need the skyline. There's a lot that you can do in the studio, but pulling off palm trees and stuff in Atlanta, it's tough. So I start off shooting at them in a museum. We cut. Fast forward 6 months later because of the strike and all that, and then we shoot the rest in Miami.
Okay.
And then so I come out running from them because they're chasing me, and I'm dodging. I got cars coming in and out, so it's very, very, very dangerous, man.
Yeah.
Because there's professionals behind the wheel, but any you trip, you slip, you fall, and the car could potentially run you over. And then they kept increasing speed to make it look cooler. 15 miles, 18 miles, and I think we got up to 20, 25, which is fast.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So anyways, we shot that where they're chasing, I'm shooting back at them, and then we had to do the part where Martin Lawrence is on one of the vehicles. He jumps up at one of the vehicles and then lunges from that vehicle and tackles me. So in that tackle, which I had to do like 10 times, my tricep snapped when I hit the ground. So it just, I heard it snapped like a rubber band.
We heard it. I heard it
Yeah.
when you played it.
Yeah.
I'll save you at home
Yeah,
for.
it's-
Maybe if you post it one day, we'll link to it. But it's a sound you can hear very loudly over that.
And it's still somewhat traumatic because I hear the sound again, and it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant.
No, it wasn't pleasant to listen to them. I could only imagine.
And then I had to shoot still. I had to do that tackle again because they wanted to get another angle. So I'm in extreme pain.
Oh.
Because I knew it snapped. You
can
I'm in
hear
extreme.
it.
I'm in extreme pain, and then they're like, "Do you have another one in you?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." So he lunges again, and now it's just flapping, So my tricep is just flapping in there, kind of like the inside of a bell, if you can imagine that. And then the pain starts spiking, and then I had to do another shot. And he's like the director, second unit director, great guy. His name's Greg Rementer, and he brought me onto this project. And then he's like, "All right, can we shoot this? Can you do it where is your arm broken?" I was like, "I think so. Can you play it off where it's not?" I was like, "Yeah, I got this." So yeah, so
Sure.
that's some true acting right there.
Right.
Where it's just like
I have a broken arm.
Yeah.
I just broke it, but we're gonna do another take.
It's the mental mind fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
say anything
Oh,
you
okay.
like.
It's the mental mind fuck knowing this shit's broken. It's broken, and then I still gotta, So you kind of want to go into the fetal position and say, and lick your wounds, and then call the doctor and be
Which
like,
99.9% of
so
the guy at the airport would have.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly,
know, but
exactly. So look, it sucked, but it was, look, I'd do it all over again.
Yeah.
It was such an incredible experience being part of that franchise, and God, Will
But you've been on a lot of franchises.
yeah, I've been
You've done
extremely fortunate.
You've-
And I got to tell you, to this day, one of the nicest celebrities was Will Smith. Just incredibly nice. The first time I met him, it was coming out of the museum. I didn't know. So they do a lot of shots, as you know. They'll do a lot of shots. I know that he's chasing me in the story.
Right.
But then they shot it. The first two shots they shot it where I'm just being chased because they're getting my coverage. And then the third one, they decided to stick him in there, but they didn't tell me that he was going to chase me with a gun.
Okay.
So I'm running twice, 3, 4 times, and then all right, we got that, and then they do it again and again, and then the third time they stick him in there, and he comes out of the corner because I can't see. Once I
Right.
turn the corner, I can't see in this museum. He comes out of the corner. I hear cut, and so I put my gun down and I just turn around and he's still engaged. He's still logged in because they're getting him. And then what I see for the first time is how I met him is him coming at me with the gun. I was like, what?
You're like, hello?
I was like, oh my, hey, nice to meet you. He's like, and then he turns into the nicest guys. But yeah, I've had the pleasure of working on many franchises. Bad Boys happens to be one of those that, you know, when Bad Boys 1 came out, I was a kid.
Right.
I was a jit, you know, and looking at this stuff and saying, you know, as many of us were, like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that there was like a small little itch at the time when I was a teenager thinking, oh, do I want to do this? And I went back to, you know, whatever I was doing.
Right, you never know. Yeah, whatever the
So
spark
to
was.
fast forward and be able to be a part of that awesome. And is just truly amazing. Yeah, I've been extremely blessed.
That's
no
awesome.
doubt.
No,
Yeah.
but it's super cool listening. But I mean, you've probably been injured many. People don't realize how injured. I mean, it's funny. My son, we just went and saw The Fall Guy, and I loved it. I feel bad that they spent so much money on it.
Yeah.
I think they spent 130 something million.
Did they not make their money back?
No, no, which is a bummer. And what's funny is I was halfway through the movie or longer, and then at the end, when I don't want to spoil it for anybody, he does, you know, the original Fall Guy does his cameo in there, and I went, oh my God, this is the TV show.
I saw that.
And it all kind of came crashing back, and I'm like, but I thought it was
I just saw it.
Done movie.
I just saw it a few days ago, or a week ago. Did you see it, Chris?
Fall Guy?
No.
Yeah, you need to see it. It's good. It's very entertaining.
I saw Bad Boys.
It's a great movie. I had the pleasure of working for David Lynch, who's the director on Bullet Train.
Bullet Train was great.
There's a scene where Bad Bunny stabs me in the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But I thought it would. You're telling me it didn't make budget, but I thought it would have done great because I enjoyed it.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed it.
Same here. I don't know whether it was the marketing. You know,
The
sometimes
comedic stuff was on point.
everything was on point in the movie.
And the stunts, obviously, you know,
Awesome.
that's disappointing.
I know.
Yeah.
It is. It's a shame. And then you got like I won't mention movie names, but some that just do so well, and you're like, like how did that do?
Yeah,
so
it's funny, right? What does it take? I think the directors sometimes they sit there and say, what will it take to get the people out of the house to go watch, to get dressed up, you know, and go watch a movie, and even though we're way past COVID, to go sit down with other strangers and sit there and watch them. Because, I mean, let's be honest, the home experience has changed so dramatically.
Everything.
I mean, it's just, it took a lot more, takes a lot more, whereas to get you out of the house and up off the sofa. 10 years ago, it was, I would gladly have gotten up and, you know, watched Matrix or something. I was excited for the experience.
Yes.
But once now, it's just like we sit on the sofa, we grab popcorn, the music, the audio is there. I mean, you can spend what $300 in surround sound, and that's it. You're golden. You're good. It sounds like a movie theater. There's a dinosaur back here. You know, there's a car racing through here. You're there.
Right.
What, TVs, 4K, and it's like 250 hertz. It's all there. The experience is there. And now we have the comfort, you know, just to add it to, we have the comfort of our home and not being interrupted by other people. So it takes a lot if you think about it.
And it's,
you know,
I love what you're saying, because as someone who watches the TikTok scroll, that's milliseconds of capturing an audience or swiping in the marketing aspect. And then as a filmmaker, it's interesting because you look at something like Dune, like that's come out or something, and like you said, what is it that's gonna make people go purchase a ticket,
right,
sit in a theater, seat? Because when you're trying to make content and you really want to tell a story, and you understand this as an actor, I mean, a great director is a great actor. That, you know, and there's so much theory around that, where a lot of times they think it's the cinematography, they think it's, but it's really characters. We as people fall in love with characters and different things, and that's where you get that long tail where somebody's going to keep watching a show because they want to know the character, the story, the writing.
Right.
Now, with that said, is how do you, in a few seconds, build a great character? You can't. So going back to, like you said, I know if I've got you in a seat in a theater, you're highly unlikely you're getting up and walking out.
Yeah.
It gives me time to build in 8 to 12. I think Spielberg is considered the best at it. And 8 to 10, 12 minutes, he can make you fall in love with the character. Like that's one of his, like they've credited into that.
Yeah.
And I think today it's like, man, people they've lost that art because now it's all just like, can I hook you somehow with clickbait or whatever that term has become?
Right.
And it's like, so like you said, I think we're in a really interesting, there's a paradigm shift where it's like, there's enough to make me want to go see the movie to get me in there, and then hopefully I can long tail it as a director to fall. There's just, it's so interesting to see what's changed because of where we're at today with, like you said, I can flip it on home. I can watch it in my, scrolling in the back of my, I can be in a train with headphones on and I'm getting the same content.
Yeah.
So it doesn't translate.
No, and I don't think that we've, nobody has the answer to it. It's just something that we all know has happened, right? Because we're shifting along with it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Where I still love the movie going experience, but and it's interesting because now we can do so much more with film, with technology and everything. But we're getting less people out there, So it's look at the end of the day, people that are going out and buying tickets and everything. You gotta try, but not try too hard, because you're seeing those movies where you're just okay. As my daughter uses it, I guess I learned the term "try hard."
Yeah, I was like, exactly.
Honey,
you're a try hard.
Honey, what do you mean? Yeah, don't be a try hard dad.
Right. So you're like, what is that? Huh? Wait, I thought
hold
I'm supposed to try to do. Now I'm trying.
Honey,
too hard?
don't you? Am I supposed to try hard in life? No, Dad, you can't be a try hard. So I was like, all right, honey, Gabby.
Chris is laughing.
Well, he knows my daughter.
Okay.
So I think that's what needs to happen, is where we don't have to go all out. We don't have to make Fast and Furious cars go into space, even though we can.
Right.
We don't have to, spend $1 million on one shot and have aliens, spitting bullets out of their head. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
We don't have to try hard, in my daughter's language, because you look back at some of the fantastic movies I'll just say one that comes to mind, Good Will Hunting.
You picked one of.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you know that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote that?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
I mean, I don't know what
Where
the
are the
budget
special
was for
effects?
that. Where are the special effects?
Right,
So we got to get back to. I'll go even further. The Graduate.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Ferris Bueller, Mel Brooks stuff.
Yes.
All these things that.
I think directors have to sit down with their team and say, hey, we have a great concept here, but let's not be tryhards.
Yeah.
We have a great story. Let's not turn it into something just because we can't. No, we have another $10 million here to spend on this.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
But we're it's all about storytelling. We're accomplishing the story here, because at the end of the day, we relate to stuff, and we can appreciate, and we get drawn in by what we can relate to in life. So storytelling, the reason why we go and watch the stories being told on the screen is because we can relate in some form or another.
Yes.
So just make it about good storytelling.
Oh, gosh, you know what? I think it's time that I would like to drink on that.
Oh man!
I've been looking at this tequila, and I didn't. But that was the perfect.
And
moment.
we have to have Chris participate.
Chris, can you get a glass?
Yeah.
Please,
Let's.
Please.
You can cut this out.
Yeah, we can cut this. But I was like, you just said everything, and that is so true, because we've gone, like you just said.
They got to stop being tryhards.
I was getting the water out of that. There you go. I'll let you sip yours.
Yeah.
By the way, this is awesome. Thank you.
Look,
I
man,
mean, I know you go by G. Do you go? What? How do I?
I go by G or G Rod.
Okay.
Or
I was just
Rod.
wondering. Okay.
Or Hey Fucker. You know.
That's my.
I respond to that one quicker. Yeah, very quick.
All right. So do we pour?
Yeah,
I'll let you. Well, first before we do that.
Oh yeah. So let me.
Here,
should I introduce it
Yes,
and then?
okay.
and-
So you wait. So we have a dog. Perfect. We've got the dog in the corner stretching. Everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to. We're coming back, and we have a treat for those everybody who knows who watches the podcast. All 6 of you, and I appreciate every one of you.
Every single one of you.
Every single one of them. They all know that I'm always drinking wine or tequila or different things.
I love
but
it. But you do drink tequila.
Oh, that's
Okay.
Chris
Okay.
is just bobbing his head
Okay.
here.
I'm like, I'm gonna bring this. He's gonna be like a
you walked in with the
non-tequila guy.
And I went, how did you pick?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm so excited. So please tell me about it as
So
well.
this is my gift to you, to the show, to the podcast.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And this is Caleon. This is my tequila, Caleon tequila.
Okay.
Which is, I call it my sipping tequila because this stuff is just simply delicious.
It's beautiful.
Right?
I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well,
It looks like a art piece. It almost looks, crystal like sitting there. It's gorgeous.
It really is a good presentation.
Yeah.
Like I'm not being super picky here, but I can't drink tequila out of an ugly bottle. I realized that the other day.
That's funny. No, there's something to the presentation. Hey, presentation. We're artists. I need to see pretty looking tequila bottles.
I mean, look at
it.
this.
Hold on. Look at that.
Look how beautiful that is. So, and somebody presented me recently. I was in Colombia. They're like, have a sip of this. I'm like, it's like, well, you don't like tequila? I don't like the bottle.
Yeah, the bottle. I mean, honestly, sometimes the workmanship, the
Right?
craftsmanship.
It's just, and we gotta. This is we gotta just wait for this and really get it. We got a good mic here. Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I heard that.
You see? So all
sealed
right.
well.
So let's get Chris in here.
Oh, Chris, come on in.
Do us the pleasure because he brought us together.
Chris is the reason we're here.
He made it possible.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Look at that. And then yes. Let's get you in there.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now we can keep talking for a while and have some tequila here.
I mean, you get a whiff of that?
I did.
You got a whiff, right? Okay. So
It smells like
Oh,
fat.
man.
It smells. Where can I get it?
caleontequila.com.
Okay, so it's online.
Yeah, online at hold on a second.
We'll put it in there. Yes,
Put it into
please.
focus.
Right there. Hold it for a sec.
Yeah, you go to caleontequila.com.
I love
But
that.
you will.
And what motivated you to?
I kid you not.
Yeah.
It was the bottle that it came across
You
my Instagram feed,
Get the.
and I'm like, that is a beautiful bottle. And then my publicist reached out and she's like, hey, he wants to taste it. Can he get a taste of it? I was
No
like,
way.
Yeah, it was one of those, because you can. Yeah. Let's get this out of the way. Cheers to. I want to toast to Chris Perez.
I was. I will.
Well,
For those that have seen, Chris has been on.
Chris has been on.
Chris has been on. This is a brand new set, by the way. For everybody else, they're probably used to seeing the dark and all that.
And I want the passcode to download that one episode that nobody can see. I want that.
Carlos.
Yeah.
You will. Yeah, you'll
So,
appreciate it.
Please take a sip.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So good, so smooth, so good.
You see?
Oh my god.
So, be honest.
In one sip, it's so good. Oh my god.
That's real.
Wow. So smooth.
I am so.
I'm gonna sit back and say.
Yeah.
What? Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is.
Right?
Love it.
This is delicious.
Listen, my Caleon tequila. This is a sipping tequila.
Yeah.
Am I right? This is a podcasting tequila.
Usually, you know what's funny?
You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Everything I usually drink is an añejo or reposado because I like it aged because it's too sharp. The blancos are usually a bit too sharp. This drinks so rounded.
And we have a reposado also.
No, but I mean,
yeah,
but
but Blanco
this-
it's my favorite. It's my favorite. And it's funny because I was telling you guys how I wanted to taste it, and I was scared that I was going to be catfished. like I'm swiping on an app, swipe right, and then I go and meet her, and you know, and it's not the, you know, it's not.
Wow,
what
this is dangerously good.
I know.
This
So
is
guess what?
dangerously-
I was not
this is-
catfished. What
this
I
is
saw
dangerous
and how
drinking.
beautiful this bottle was matched the taste,
Oh no, I'm gonna have to.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting there.
He's the cheapest drunk too. It's so funny.
I,
Few cocktails.
I love
in,
it.
Chris is done. He's done. It's over.
I'm sitting, and by the way, I will have you guys know, this is in confidence, you know, with the, did you say the 6 folks that are watching it right now?
yeah. They're.
This is in confidence. This has truth-telling power. Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
confess on the.
This has like truth-telling power.
get that in
It
there.
it is amazing.
Careful, everybody.
Because it gets you in that let's just sip and chill. You know, I call it the sip and chill, and sip on some Caleon. Suddenly I'm like, tell me more.
Oh boy! So this is the truth tequila.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna need these for more podcasts. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a few bottles.
Yeah, you
and then
break
when we
this
have
out.
Other guests, I'll be
Tag
like,
me, please.
oh, 100%.
And then you're gonna send me a message with a chuckle saying, "Wow, you were right."
You were right.
You know, so yeah, it goes down easy. It goes down smooth.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to, because
It's like a
It's delicious,
on
though.
any day, but on a Sunday podcast, and this is it.
this is Sunday afternoon in Miami. It
with
doesn't-
such great company, we have Chris Perez here chilling.
This is so nice.
Huh?
This is perfect.
Nice, right?
This is exactly what I need. Now I
Delicious.
can just
Very nice.
Yeah.
sit back and relax and have a little tequila on a. It's amazing.
Kill that like that. So good.
Yeah, so I what was we talking about? Because we got deviated, derailed here by the wonderful
I know. I had to have a
Caleon
toast
tequila.
to you.
Yeah,
You were just saying about the character, the development of Hollywood, and you go back to the movies that made us really want to watch. Because
Yeah.
as opposed to just how many explosions and it's funny coming from someone who's a stuntman,
Yeah.
as well, an actor, stuntman, but it's interesting to see that. I think maybe that's where we've lost touch with Hollywood is, and I'll give you one just 'cause
Yeah.
I'll let you sip some more because I think I'm jumping the gun here on you. Is Robert Downey
Yeah.
when he did Iron Man?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know Iron Man was supposed to be the special effects, like that's what they were basing the whole thing on. Downey gets it. He's got Favreau, which is, I mean, you get some of the best there, and they're like, this is worse than a student film. And I'm not just saying this. You can go online right now and look all what I'm
Right.
saying up on YouTube, and they will be like, this was worse than a student film. And they were like, let's put some real acting into it. Let's put some moments. So they were like doing like so many wild lines. They were, for those that know, inserts, all the different things. They made Iron Man and then guess what? They built the entire franchise off of Iron
Right.
Man. So
Which is
it shows you
Yeah.
that even with special, whatever, but if you get the nucleus right, if you make it interesting,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then people, anyway.
Well,
sorry. I'm
Downey.
just repeating
No.
what you're
I
saying.
mean, Robert Downey is a beast in his own right, and I don't see how that could have worked without it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, but see, even with the MCU, even them in recent years have then looked at that extra. Yo, we got another $5 million. So they're. I love the MCU and I'm a big fan. But there's times where you just don't have to take the $5 million or whatever off the table. We covered enough explosives. We covered enough of the CGI. And look, I'm not behind. I'm not at the helm of these. I'm not directing or. But I would say that there's a formula that worked in the first 10 movies that was amazing.
Right.
Amazing. But there's some that in recent years haven't struck a chord, haven't fall in line with the other ones. But one thing you can take away from it, I think, is that the earlier ones, there was less about that. Going back to what my daughter would say, there was less try-hards.
Less try-hards.
So, which again, I'm a big fan of the MCU, and I would love to delve into some of that. I enjoy more of the dramatic stuff that's more grounded in reality.
Right.
But I'm still a boy, and we all sort of are.
Don't we all? Well, I don't want to bring up Star Wars because we won't even touch Star Wars because
But I hear the and I get excited.
I know. And now you look at where things are at, and it's just the whole industry.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I don't know what's coming next.
Yeah.
Chris can't. I hear him over there. I know. It's like these. It's so. I believe that you lean into a character, you create an environment around that character, and that's what people want to.
Yeah.
It brings you, like you said, even go back to like with Bad Boys that you just said. You remembered seeing.
Yeah.
And it had a very positive effect.
It did, and I wanted to be a cop because in part because I saw some of that stuff happening on screen. I was like, oh man, I want to chase bad guys.
She became a stuntman and an actor.
Yeah.
Similar.
Well, yeah. I said I want to be a cop. I want to be a good guy. I want to chase bad guys, and then I ended up being one of the bad guys.
I was gonna say, is it so? Yeah. So
didn't quite work out.
All right,
for
tell
me.
me. Let's some
It didn't quite work out.
Some
for
of
me.
some of your favorite things you've done. Some of them. Just give us for
man.
fun because you probably don't get to share a lot of that.
No, wow, it's been a wild ride, an amazing ride, but there are certain ones that stick out. I have always been a big fan of Samuel L. Jackson and his work and his.
He's awesome.
His.
I mean, he's
just amazing.
Yes.
So when I got the.
He works at his craft all.
Man.
Like we talked about.
And
going back to where we started, craft. All these great. They're on it. They're not just anyway. I'm sorry.
And he didn't get started until like close to 50, I believe.
Started late.
He started late. He didn't really crack it until like in his late 40s. So I'm a huge admirer of his work, and when I got a chance to work with him on Shaft, it was just like unbelievable. To me, it was just like next level. Like I can't believe that a boy from the slums of Venezuela is here. You know.
Right, I hear you. No, I'm just laughing when you say that.
There was times where I didn't even know where our next meal was coming from. You know, there's times where it was just pasta and ketchup. That was our go-to because it was very inexpensive. Pasta and ketchup. Going from that to being in the same room and working in the same scene with Samuel L. Jackson, it's like I'm literally just a kid from the slums of Venezuela, and now I just, you know, I just got welcomed with citizenship. You know what, like 12 years ago. You know, here's again. I go back to I'm sitting there on the set with Samuel L. Jackson. I got a deportation notice 5 years before that. Leave the country. You know.
Wow.
So yeah, my wife at the time had to save me, because I was married to her and she was an American citizen, and there was another path that my parents applied for, and so 5 years before I'm on the set with Samuel Jackson, I got a deportation notice. You know, leave the country. So it's just, you know, it's been an interesting journey. So that was a major highlight for me, being able to work with him and you know, share the same ground with him, and seeing him at work was just a masterclass within itself.
I was just about to say he's.
And then I have to note another highlight, which is from my career, which is working on Ozark.
Oh.
And Jason Bateman.
I was just about to say, love him.
Just an incredible
talented
guy and generous with his talents and his time, and just seeing him, you know, switch from director, because one of the episodes I worked on, he was directing, and then seeing his ability.
How was that? Give me a little detail, because I'm a big fan of his, and of course Samuel. I mean, they're just wildly talented, and being in the business, and I haven't had the pleasure. Don't mind me if I serve myself.
It's your gift, baby. You know,
yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I would love to. You know, I think, like you said, there's a lot of. I'm a firm believer in actors and directors. Directors who are actors, who have studied, understand how to work with another actor and tell that story.
Yeah.
And I'd love your thoughts on working with him on something like that.
Such an incredible, another walking masterclass, Jason Bateman, and just the ability to go from. It was almost like it was weird in a way. You know, it was almost like there was two people. If you can picture this, there's two people in the same room that were him, director and actor. And he would literally shift. You would see the change in his eyes when he would shift to director, and then actor, and he would just look at the playback and say. There was one time where he's like, go in tighter for me. I need more. I need more. Okay, and here we go. And then they say action, and then he would just dial it in. It was truly incredible. And this goes to show that even at that level, because look, I was just talking about, I throw up 100 auditions against the wall and see what sticks. We've all gone through that. Even at their level, they've gone through
100%.
it. But it was interesting to see, because I tell people all the time, when you can handle, I tell people all the time that when they ask me, I had somebody roll up on me because of Bad Boys at a Starbucks recently. Like, oh man, great job, whatever. And I was like, oh, thank you. They said, how do you do it? I said, well, you got to be 10% crazy. It's like what? Yeah, it's like that's the minimum requirement.
Minimum requirement.
So you go into a job and they have minimum requirements.
Yes.
So in order to do this, you have to be 10% crazy. I'm operating anywhere between 40 and 50 at the moment. Like I'm here in a studio. Yeah.
Well, that's if you're in the industry, totally get it.
I'm here in the
right.
studio.
Well, you're talking a guy with a blue goatee and you're asking about crazy. I mean,
I'm here in the studio. We have what? The lighting. We have professional lighting. We have cameras. I have right now 2 cameras on me, a wide shot, a
wide,
tight.
over the shoulder. They're all reds, by the way.
There's one over my shoulder. So, and there's somebody looking at me. We have mics. All this that goes into this podcast, but at the same level, much more, is what we're dealing with when we're on set in a major production, major studio production. So, and most of the time you have some level of of elements that give you some sense of reality of the scene that you're working with when you're on a major production.
Right.
But before you even get there, you have to be in a room like at Universal Casting or another casting office, or in your house, because I do a lot of self-tapes now. And in most cases, I'm a bad guy and I'm reading with my daughter, and she's the person that I'm holding ransom or sequestering. She's 13.
I got a funny story after
So so I'm in a place I have to go. What I'm getting at, I have to go into a mental place that is so far removed with the environment that I'm dealing with at the time, in order to sell you, let's say you the viewer, you the studio head, the casting director, whatever eyeballs have to look at it for you to even be considered for this job.
Yeah.
So what has to happen there? You have to, in a sense, I'm sure you've seen Matrix, in a sense you have to be some level of crazy to then drop in everything that you're working with. I started with 10% crazy. I'm at 40 or 50 because my daughter even looks at me, she's like, what just happened? Like I'm gone. I see everything. Everything is there. I don't see him. I don't see the lighting. I'm gone.
Yeah.
So to be able to see, somebody who was operating at that level 50, I would say Jason Bateman can switch it up to 60% crazy. The drop of a dime. But even still, and I remember specifically this one take where he's really got to bring it home. He's really got to show a sense of, I could possibly die right now. If I even say the wrong word, I could die right now. But there's lighting, there's equipment, there's all this artificiality. There's a script supervisor who's correcting, doing whatever she's doing on the iPad. There's a conversation being had over there, and it was a tight shot. He wanted to bring it in tight. So there's this cameraman right here. They're really tight, and the guy's right here looking at him as he's doing his monologue. And he cuts, and so he tried it twice. So Jason says, "Hey Brett, whatever his name is," he's like, "Do you mind sitting this one out?" And he's like, "No, I'm good. Yeah, you mind just hitting it, and I'll just go right in." Okay, knocked it out the park. I saw what he did after he went and saw the playback twice. I could get an idea of what he didn't like, and then I could tell obviously what he wanted out of it, because then he performed it.
Right.
But that goes to show that no matter who you're dealing with, at a stellar level of, that we're talking about Jason Bateman.
Right.
That even yet and still, that it helped him to take away this human that was right in front of him, providing him a certain level of artificiality, because he is a camera operator. He is there working his 9 to 5, you know, and even though he wasn't able, you know, I saw that they adjusted a couple things for him. There's a lady here, you know, and they moved her away, but he had to go there to, you know what, let me help myself, because if this brings me closer. Because this guy Brett, he's probably had dinner with him. This guy, you know, they filmed several seasons, and I heard a little chatting back and forth. They're all smiles.
Right.
So I need to remove him out of the equation because he brings a certain level of fictionality to what I'm trying to accomplish now. And then he hit it out the park. That is incredibly. To me, it was like hats off, that moment right there.
And he knew. He was smart enough to know that.
He was smart enough to know. So he wasn't sitting there trying to say, oh, I'm Jason Bateman. I can operate at the 50, 60% level of crazy. Don't worry about Brett. You know, I'll log it in. Action, and I'm gone.
Right.
He knew that if I can use this handicap, if I can use this go-to and just remove him, you know, without creating havoc, get him out of the equation, because it is a set of eyeballs that is landed right on you.
Right.
And we know by human behavior that we, even if it's a small reaction internally, we have to acknowledge to some degree when eyeballs land on us.
100%.
So if he had just walked in, I'm still talking to you and I'm fully engaged, and I now I've done a bunch of these, you know, interviews and stuff like that. I can tell he's walked in. I can tell where his eyeballs are, hit me. I can see it. There's no doubt that's what he was seeing. He's like, there's a pair of eyeballs that are staring right at me. I need to get this tight shot right now, and I know that it would help me to pull him out of the equation.
Right.
That is like, you know, it just, what did that do to me? That brought him closer to me at my level. Like, okay, even a Jason Bateman who is up here and is able to hit that switch that I told you about.
Yes.
He's able to go into his emotional arsenal quicker than I am. Instead of me taking 5 seconds saying, oh, give me a second, I need this, okay, we're ready to go. He probably just goes, let's go. You know, I'm just giving you an idea. But even he had to, you know, he recognized.
Right, but what you're saying, oh my gosh, as someone who's coming from a director's world here, you know, okay, good, he's sleeping now. We're good. Wait, by the way, this is fabulous.
Is it amazing, right?
Yes, we're gonna call Truth Serum. Chris, how you doing back there?
You're
nursing that, buddy.
It's no longer Caleon. It's really Caleon Truth Serum.
Yes.
It's no
joke.
You
guys can call it Caleon. I'm going to call it Truth Serum.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think this is like, this is probably, I'm going to find out that this is illegal because
Probably.
it is.
I'll order it now.
Just,
let me get a lot of it.
It
But we're in Miami. It doesn't count. Miami doesn't count.
Yeah. You're just like, you know, what do you want? My Social Security?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Let me just write it down.
My income tax return. Here you go. What? You know what I'm saying?
I know.
It is amazing.
I'm noticing how smooth this is.
It's just, you know, you just feel like, you know, just let's relax. Let's just,
God, I love it.
you know, if you had to go somewhere, Chris,
no,
you're like,
let's
let's just relax. We're just sipping,
Chris.
right?
Yeah.
This
is. So, yeah.
This fits Miami. Does it
not?
not?
It's so Miami. We're so Miami right now.
Caleon Tequila in Miami was a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, by the way, again, so I just want to say thank you because I was just enjoying a sip.
Yeah.
And it made me so. Gosh, I'm gonna circle back and I think one of the things the podcast I'm going back to people the 6 people, hopefully the 7 who just subscribed who watched this.
I think we're up to 8.
I love the way you think.
Yeah.
So the reason I mentioned that is I try and give some real world advice of people who are trying to get in.
Right.
Now, or learn more about the business so you don't get stopped at the airport with a guy who's like, let's go to scene now. And you're like, you know. It's like, okay, we can do this. I can do this with you. So I went to the actor studio. I have grown up in the industry. And that's why I keep going back to, is a foundation of an actor flipping between a director. that's where I find so much of that storytelling, as opposed to coming from the angle of I'm a VFX guy and we're going to make a movie and it's going to be all about spaceships and aliens. Great, I love those stories too. That's the candy, that's the fluff.
Right.
But humans want human story. We want. I can go on and on. But so going back to what we were kind of the conversation about you working with Bateman, and I still want to hear some more of your other stories.
Yep.
Is there? I've seen this myself, and I'm going to. I think the best way to explain it is I'm hoping I can put this in the podcast below. My son, PBS, multiple seasons. He, at 11 or 12, I didn't want my kids in the business because I knew how hard this business is.
Right.
But they got scouted early, they got brought in, and now they're doing great.
And they're loving it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, so now the reason I mention him is PBS was setting up, they would come and they would shoot an entire season of this show Kids Do.
Okay.
James Patterson, biggest author on the planet, very, very prestigious, multiple Emmys. So my son got called out in the first season by the LA Times as the next Dan Aykroyd.
Very
because
cool.
he did the, remember old Saturday Night Live, the Bass-O-Matic and all that? He was doing these funny commercials.
Right.
Where it would be like, the Boogerator or the fart machine. And what happened was,
Well, he's a beast. I mean,
so what happened at 11, and I have to, yes, your dad. So I was helping him, but
Right.
I've had a lot of people like Chris and other people, and he knows Luke. Luke's been on this podcast. And so why am I mentioning that to you is to say, he's killing it. And because he's killing it, everybody in the entire set, while they're setting up set A or set B, and they'd all come around and watch him. Now, here's an 11-year-old with 50 people coming to watch him deliver his commercial, and the pressure of you're 11. So when I'm dealing with parents, and he's a saint over there, Chris, because I don't have tolerance. I'm a New Yorker. I just say it to your face. I'm at a time, whatever. I'm like, listen, your kid's not ready. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, so
course.
I'm trying to help him be like, listen, they're here because you're killing it. Like you said. So even no matter, I think going back to that, Bateman, whoever, when you've got all these eyeballs, because he's like, I just want to do a good job, right? And he loves the industry. That's the thing, there's so much coming out today with the industry and what's going on. But there are actors like yourself, people who, like my son, who's super young age, and my daughter, they're like, we love this business.
Yeah, they're eating it up.
Yeah, so I've been very blessed. Yes, I for years was I'll call it a helicopter dadager. Dad manager, but I've been very blessed. And the reason I mention that is now I'm going to come where he's got to, and I'm not, we're on a podcast, so I'm not name dropping, but Eric Roberts, probably one of the most, every movie, he was on the cover of Hollywood Reporter as Hollywood royalty, Julia Roberts, Emma Roberts, the whole thing. They're family friends. I'm with Eric and Eliza, his wife, at their house with my kids, and we're talking about self-tapes, and we're grabbing an Amazon box, propping up a camera on an iPhone with this is Eric, right? And we're filming a self-tape for him and so the people in their mind don't realize that everybody from the whole ecosystem.
Yep.
And what you were just saying with your daughter, and I remember reading with my son a line where he's got to say, he's 8 or whatever, and the line is like, so, and the line he has to deliver, he goes is, so if you're saying I do this now, I'm not going to grow up and be a big pussy like you, Dad. And I have to coach him and be like, no, you got to say pussy and I'm going, how much therapy is my son gonna? So when you're telling me you're reading with your daughter and she's 13, I'm just, you drank the tequila, now you're trying to leave.
These guys are just
Chris,
great hearts, just amazing people.
I'm going to do one better. I did a movie called Corona Camp at the height of COVID 4 years ago. Haven't released it yet.
Okay.
In dribs and drabs. It was a lot of people in the industry came to me and said, COVID shut it all down. I was literally, when I say on the edge of bankruptcy is an understatement.
Right.
And owning a production company in this, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I leaned into it. I went through 9/11. I grew up in New York. I was in 9/11 and then some. And I'm like, I feel like you said it before. You got to pull yourself up. Well, there was an expression you were using the 12th time or something. I remember you were saying we were talking earlier about you got to just go for that next take, right?
You have to.
In life. And so that's where. So anyway, the reason I'm getting there, where I'm going with this is with our truth serum is. After that, I'm like, I lean in. Oh, it's so good.
True.
It's truth
It's
serum.
true.
And so I'll share with you the movie Corona Camp that I will eventually be releasing.
Send it
and
my way.
Chris plays a camp counselor.
Oh man, now I got it.
No.
Oh man.
But wait, in the white van kind of camp counselor.
I gotta see
The,
it.
the outtakes, the funny scene, it's Mel Brooks meets The Office.
Yeah.
And Chris and a few of the guys, you as an actor are gonna. I was 5 days into filming before we had a script. I was writing the script the night before.
But that's when magic comes out.
And everybody who's watched it has said the acting is so great. And I'm like, I mean, the story's the story. It's funny. It's whatever.
Right.
It's cheesy. It's like your daughter who's 13 will love it. So actually, I'll give it to you. You have to do me a favor and let her watch because it's
hell yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I digress to say.
Yeah, these guys
you know,
are just amazing. They're
great
just-
people here, working with great people. You know, and fortunate to meet you, but that's where it's like you're telling these stories, and I think people, that's going back to the podcast, they don't normally get to see some guys having some drinks, gals. I've had women on, you know,
Yeah.
guys and gals,
Guys and gals.
guys and gals, and a dear friend of mine, Lauren, who's a major casting director. We chopped it up a while
Guys
ago
and
talking about the industry.
beautiful gals.
Beautiful, yes, as well. And so the reason, do you think we're a little nervous in the industry? Do you think the industry's got us like,
Yeah,
buzzing?
right.
Like,
Even
careful.
saying beautiful gals is like, can you cut that?
Yeah, I think we're.
It's like ridiculous.
So I'll take. Come at me, not him. I direct him. But the reason I come back to that is you work with some great people and artists who, and I love the people who are not at 10, who are at 60% insane.
Yeah.
Because when you see that creative switch, and that's why I'm asking you,
It's
I want
fucking
your experience.
amazing.
Share with me because
Yeah.
people don't get those moments that when you're in that moment that you can make.
Man, it is.
The Bateman one was great. Thank you.
That and I've told that and people really truly hold on to that moment. I've seen.
What's
them,
helped
and
you
they're
grow
like,
as an actor where you've seen those moments?
just that moment, and,
Right.
and I've been able to share with people, and now I'm sharing it with you, and it is amazing how they are eating it up because it's truly one that we can relate to.
Right.
I can't relate to Jason Bateman going back to his mansion.
Yeah, right. Well, that's like we said, you know, there's-
$50 million mansion, not reading for a part, and then getting it, booking it, and shooting it the following week, and then touring for press junket for a movie. There's a lot that we can't relate to. But that moment, you most certainly can.
Well, especially when you're there witnessing it.
So
You
there's been moments that one obviously stands out for obvious reasons because to me he's a legend.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
The way he
How about Samuel though? I cut you
Samuel-
off earlier.
yeah,
I'm sorry. You were
Samuel-
telling me some.
Samuel was interesting because he's a loud guy and just the way he carries
So
himself.
he's big on set.
Oh, he's big and just super animated and just great. He's got positive, great energy spewing out of him. But so I had the pleasure of working with him again on Fight Night, which is coming to Peacock in like 2 months, and it's based off of Fight Night that occurred late in the early 70s, and that's a whole different thing. I was literally in a room, you know, in between takes. You know, Kevin Hart was there, Samuel Jackson was there, Terrence Howard was here, and I'm shooting the shit with these guys.
Right.
And literally just shooting the shit, and I'm like, man, there's so many talented people in this room, including myself.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I was
it's
gonna
just
say.
like I'm just sucking. I'm like USB connected and just sucking
You're right.
all of their
Download.
It's just a masterclass.
Right.
It's a prime masterclass. So that was a great experience. But just going back to my initial experience on Shaft with Samuel Jackson, there's a moment where I hadn't gotten the chance to like really shoot the shit with him,
Right.
and get to know him a little bit because we spent a lot of time between shots. But there's a moment where I'm like, oh, they're turning around. So I asked the PA, and she asked the AD if I could go me and my fellow stunt actor, if we could go grab something from craft services. So she says, yeah, after checking. And I was like, oh, cool. So Samuel's sitting down. I know nothing's happening soon. Craft services is a minute away. So we go down there. I grab my little cup of coffee. I grab my little snacks,
Yes.
my little nuts. As I'm coming up the stairs onto the second floor where we're set up to shoot, now I see that everything has been moved over to the other side because we're turning around. And I see Samuel Jackson at the top of the stairs with the director. I see his back. I'm about to curve to the right because I'm gonna go sit. He turns around, sees me and my fellow stunt actor coming up the stairs. And he says, "Are these the motherfuckers we're waiting for to shoot?" And I'm like, I'm holding my coffee. He and I froze. When I tell you that, we froze.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We
He
froze,
got you.
and we were like this. And then it wasn't, my heart, literally, I'm like, I'm not even breathing. I didn't relax until it was a good, like,
Till he broke character.
it was a good, like, second and a half,
Oh.
which is a long
time when you're.
And then he breaks character and he goes, I'm like,
Yeah, you're like.
wow,
yeah.
that was amazing. So what a great guy.
Right.
And then in Atlanta, I worked on this show called Fight Night like 6 months ago, and I arrived on set, and I'm getting some peanuts and some coffee, and then his security guard comes by, and I didn't know that he was going to be on that day, and he's like, "Oh man, I remember you from Shaft," because he saw the whole thing go down and everything, and he's like, "Man, come over and say hi to Samuel," and he takes me to his trailer, and he was just so warm and welcoming. He's like, "Get over here, man!" It's just like, so it was a whole thing.
That's awesome.
So it's cool to come across people like that are still good people at that level.
Gracious and wonderful to be
Yeah,
there.
because I've come across folks that are not so pleasant,
Here's a theory.
which we'll rename nameless.
Right, but I'll float something by you.
Yeah,
Once you've got a taste, then you get to that level and you think your shit doesn't stink.
yeah,
Then you realize you get to the level where we're talking Bateman, Samuel Jackson,
Yeah.
and they become human again.
Yeah.
Or maybe not that, maybe not at that air, but it's that middle ground. I've seen a lot of the people who they believe their own press clippings.
yeah. It's interesting because as you say that, I can already identify, like, in my mind, of course, which
Right.
shall remain in my mind.
Yeah, of course.
Like 3 different shows that I've worked on who are nowhere near the Samuel level.
No, right.
And I'm like, oh, that was unpleasant,
Yeah.
to think of you as somebody that would act that way, or it's because they are here,
Right.
and then the Samuels of the world are at the peak of their career.
Right.
So, but they're out there.
Yeah.
You just go. What do? I go about my day. I go.
You have to.
I treat
You're
it
working.
as
Yep, absolutely.
I treat it as a 9 to 5. Go
Mm-hmm.
through the motions, say my lines, hit the ground, point my gun.
Exactly.
and
Boom, boom.
Sit down,
flip- yeah.
eat my nuts, drink my coffee, go home.
Hey, now, where would you? So if you could put a moment to your
Yeah.
career where you feel it really kicked off, what was that moment?
Undoubtedly, what was a pivotal moment in my career was the show called Power, which is produced by 50 Cent, and it was actually just amazing that I was able to secure, agents two levels above where I was at the moment. I was getting opportunities I hadn't seen before. I was getting calls from directors, reputable directors. So it was that moment around. I at the time I was still living my adult job,
Okay.
I was still working as, I call it as, adult work.
Yeah, the
because,
9 to 5, right? Is
you know,
the grind.
I was a real estate executive, managing shopping centers, and so every now and then, 3 days out of the week, I would go to Starbucks and just
Yeah.
do my stuff from there, because we push paper.
Right,
We
yeah.
write emails and write. So like for 2 months after that Power, because I was doing Zoom and meetings from there, 2 months after Power aired, I couldn't sit in the Starbucks because I would get interrupted and stopped. And
Everybody's like, wait a minute.
it was just
That's,
unbelievable.
and you knew that was
Unbelievable. I like literally, I'm in a Zoom doing my,
Right.
my
Day job.
and people would just roll up to me in the middle of the Zoom, and my boss would be like, "What happened? We're in the middle of a meeting." I was like, "Oh, nothing." So that was truly changing, and had such a significant impact on my career and the opportunities that opened since then. So there was like two peaks in that shook up my path,
Huh.
if you will. It was Power and then Cobra Kai,
okay.
and simply because they have such a large audience.
And people, right? And they just
and it wasn't just the people stopping me in day to day. Cobra Kai was, moms were stopping me at a stoplight. I remember at a red light. She's like, pull over. I was like, what? I need you to come to my son's birthday party. I was like, the light's green.
You're like-
She's like, that's fine. Pull over. It's like Cobra Kai themed. There's people honking and stuff.
You're like, yeah,
So-
hold on, I got absolutely nothing to do. I would love to. Oh my gosh,
right
that's
now,
great.
and so, but it wasn't just what I was experiencing out there in the world. At the height of those two peaks with Cobra Kai and with Power, but it was also the opportunities that were being presented to me, and so for folks that know, your agent puts you out,
Right.
submits you through roles. Now Actors Access, which is Breakdown Services, is the go-to
Right.
website tool. They also have casting networks and stuff like that. But for me, film and TV is my main bread and butter. So that's what I have the opportunities to read, and that come through Actors Access. I look at it, I read it. They're submitted by my agent,
Right.
along with whatever 100 other people that are submitted for the same role, bigger, taller, fatter, whatever, a variety of people from all across the nation, maybe in
Right.
some cases the world. But it was interesting to experience opportunities coming my way, whereas I would get the emails that were forwarded by casting directors or producers saying, "Hey, we want G-Ride to read for this," and I'm like, "What does this mean?" She's like, "They're
They're
coming,
looking for
they're finding your IMDb for whatever reason." So that happened at the peak of Power and at the peak of Cobra Kai.
Nice.
So I still see some of those opportunities. I just saw one that came through the box, and they'll forward me the email. So I like reading. I was like, what the steps. Oh yeah, do you represent G-Rod and blah blah blah. So that's always good to see, because sometimes it can be a little discouraging where you'll throw 100 stuff against the wall.
Absolutely.
Submit your little C-mail, your EcoCast, and submit, and not see anything cook.
Right.
But that's part of the
hundreds of
that's part of
self-tapes.
the journey. That's part of the that's what we do. It's part of the process.
Now, with that said, what role did you get that you never thought you were going to get? Because everybody reads for roles and they go, "Wait, I'm booking this."
That would be I had the wonderful opportunity to work on this show. Thank you. This show called Bounty Hunters that I read for. Well, you wouldn't have heard of it.
Okay.
So I booked it, and I spent 2
Might have
months.
seen a casting for it. That's why I'm.
No, because back in 2017, and I spent 2 months filming it in London.
Okay. No. Okay.
And I play the not so smart cousin of Rosie Perez,
Okay.
and it was a comedy, so I play like a dum dum, and I'm like, I don't know, I honestly, and I hate saying this to myself but I did say it. I said it to myself, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get this, but I still did it. So I booked that, which was an amazing opportunity to go out to London for 2 months and
Oh.
to film this
Yeah.
show, and then I got a chance to work with Jack Whitehall, who is a comedian.
I think I know that.
Yeah,
name.
he's making he's been in some movies. It was a wonderful experience, but again, it was a comedy, and I'm not even playing a villain. I'm not playing a bad guy. I'm just playing like a dum-dum.
Something totally out of your.
Totally.
You're like,
So when I booked that, I was truly surprised.
wait, I got this.
So what I did, so when I did book it, the producer, who's also the star of the show, which is Jack Whitehall, one of the reasons he told me that immediately I caught their attention, because a lot of the times you can be a great performer, so can the other 100 people that are reading for that role with you. So I always tell people, is there an opportunity here for you to stand out? I always ask people, because I get a lot of people, I can't respond to all the inquiries, but because they send me self-tapes unsolicited, and I'm like,
Really?
I can't do anything with this.
Yeah.
So, but what I do tell people is, do you have an opportunity to stand out, to do something to stand out? So in that particular role, I have to read for a scene where my character is eating a hot dog and dancing mindlessly through on the sidewalk, and then he walks up the stairs to this office he's been to, and finds a thumb on the ground, but he confused it. He's trying to figure out if his hot dog sausage slipped. So
And it's right.
So he's like,
so is it part of my?
is it part of my hot dog, or is that a thumb?
Right.
So, leading up to that, he's dancing to on the sidewalk.
Right.
He's dancing to Marvin Gaye. So I went to a hotel, the Quinta. I remember. I know exactly where it's at.
Right.
And I hired a videographer for $200, and I went to the reception and said, "Hey, do you mind if I'll just dance rather from there to here, and he's going to record me, and I'm going to be eating a hot dog, and then at the end the hot dog's going to slip and fall, and I'm going to look down, and that's it." She's like, "Okay."
Well, yeah, they're like, sure, whatever.
Whatever.
Pick up your hot dog after it falls. Exactly.
Eat your hot dog, dude. You want to dance?
Right.
Dance. So I did that, and I threw the song to it, and they're like, "We fucking loved it. We fucking loved it." I was like, "What did the others do?" Every single other person did it in front of a white screen or in front of a solid color screen, and just sat there, no music, no nothing, and just started moving in a stationary place.
Right.
I was like, no. So I go back to, is there an opportunity to do something that makes you stick out? I've been fortunate enough that my face makes me stick out.
Chris was saying you always get played the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's always because, if you look at my face, this was a fight, a bottle shattered in my face. So I just got to look confused, and I'm angry.
It's
So if I'm just sitting there and saying 2 + 2 is 6, I'm going to look at you and say, "Come again?"
Right.
That's it.
There it is.
I'm mad. So, so as long as I can get their attention, my face does that.
Right.
If I'm reading for a bad guy and get their attention, they're going to, okay, can he perform? So if I'm able to deliver my performance, I've already got their attention.
Right.
Because I look like a bad guy. So I tell people who look like, 100 other people, if you walk into a casting room, if you look like the other 10 people that are there, what can you do to make yourself stick out? I've been fortunate also enough that I have a niche. I've found that niche. I'm a bad guy, I'm a villain, I'm able to hit the ground, point a gun properly, and do my own stunts. So I'm already...
You're so far ahead of the...
I'm reading for roles that actors that are just actors don't get an opportunity to read.
Right.
For example, those that I mentioned, the one that the episode I did for Power, the episode that I did for Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
I wasn't against a pool of 100 other candidates. I was only against a pool of another 10 or 5
Who could actually pull off all
who could conduct their own stunts. So then it becomes a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So I have found a way to capitalize off of that ratio. So if if I'm booking 1 out of 10 auditions, I bumped up that number to make it more likely, simply because I'm willing to hit the ground and I'm willing to do it for the most part safely and properly, and I have now years of experience within the stunt and respected within the stunt community that they can call up these stunt coordinators and say, hey, is G-Rod is he, that's typically how the phone call goes, or it'll be a text. Is G-Rod good? Yeah, absolutely. But
Right.
So I'm typically 90% of the time, I can't remember the last time I auditioned or booked work that didn't have some level of action, some element of action. Whether it was just grabbing somebody by the throat or their shirt, some level of action. And immediately, the minute you're putting hands on somebody, now you're getting a stunt person. So if the director can say, well, I'd rather not have to deal with the camera work and milk another 3 hours having to work with a stunt double to try to avoid seeing the stunt double's face. Can we get a guy that can do the acting? They'll be like, yeah, I got a guy. Well, we need a Latin dude who's big and whatever. Oh, okay, I got somebody in mind.
There you go.
So I'll get the sides from the stunt coordinator. So it doesn't even hit the casting. It doesn't even go through the casting office at all. It'll go from a text to me, to the stunt coordinator, directly to the director.
Right.
So that's why I've been able to do.
I mean, yeah, it's great. But you also have to be able to carry it, and you clearly can.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will probably watch and be like, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah.
Like we started with this. You train for years.
Yeah.
You got to train for years. It's not. Everybody thinks there's the anomalies, and as a director, and I'll come at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
As a director, I may look for that perfect, what they look like, and I'll build everything. I'll build the world around them.
Yep.
That's very different than having someone who can play a part or a character.
Right.
And that's where you get I'm not going to call them one-hit wonders, but we all know that from the music standpoint.
Of course.
You see that in Hollywood a lot of times. There'll be a one-hit wonder, and they will never book again. Or it's not that, but they're like, but because you were specifically needed and built, and the role was built around you, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's actually funny because I was just watching thing with, I'll put the link below, with Sylvester Stallone, years ago, talking about why he made Rocky, and he wanted to be the character, and it's almost like we're living in that time now where it's like people want content, and then he built that so he could and then became Rambo, and all this, and he is just Hollywood's sweetheart. Well, no, actually, I think he's being, I wouldn't say canceled now, but they don't
tried.
like him because there's like
they couldn't.
Like, God,
But I saw a documentary
you know what I'm talking
that
about,
talked about that.
But like that's the guys who would.
And he wrote that as a launching pad for his career.
Bingo.
Which is truly amazing, and he felt it had to be done because he wasn't getting the opportunity that he wanted.
Yep.
And he stuck to his guns and said, no, you're only getting this wonderful script
100%.
if I am the lead. So, it's a funny industry, right? Because, I tell people all the time, there's a clearer path if you want to become a NASA astronaut.
Oh,
There's
100%.
There's a clear path if you want to become a heart surgeon. Is it still hard? Yes, but if you're disciplined and you're able to do everything that they're asking you to do, the courses, you can make it.
Yeah.
You just follow that path.
Not this industry.
It's just
the art,
different direction. How did you get here? Well, I went here and then
and
I went
nobody's
here,
got a
and then I went
story
here.
that's the same. So when people call up and they're like,
how about you, Bob? How did you get here? Well, I did this, and then here. Huh. Because I had to go this way, you know. So it's
It's a very weird.
it's very, very, very weird. So now even though I've all my career I've worked on major studio productions and TV shows, network TV shows. It's now, whereas, you know, like the Stallone story, you know, he started off writing his own stuff, and now I'm starting to now write my own stuff because
that's great.
I'm finding a great deal of interest. Thank you.
That is hard. That's hard.
It's gratifying. It's fun, and I didn't even know I had the itch to it until COVID hit. You know. So,
wow, we're doing the same.
So I've kind of discovered this new affinity that I have towards
That's
not
awesome.
only storytelling but story writing. And I'm gonna see it through. I'm working right now with an actor by the name of David A.R. White, who does a lot of faith-based movies.
Oh, that's great. Well, Angel Studios has been doing unbelievably well. A lot of them. The movie The Chosen, I don't know, you know, have
Yes,
you heard
yes, I have.
They have done unbelievably well.
He does a lot
And-
of those types of films. He well,
Or not the movie,
Pureflix-
the series The Chosen, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, the series. He came up with the app instead of Netflix, it's Pureflix, which is all faith based, and so now I'm writing a script with him, and so I didn't know that when I first got into this. I didn't know that I had and that this appealed to me, you know.
Isn't it interesting?
So it's
Well, you answered
very-
my next question. What do you want to do next? And it sounds like this is
Yeah.
what character haven't you played? Every actor's like, oh, I've always wanted to play and it
Yeah.
sounds like now you're writing your own stuff. Which
Yeah,
is
so the writing has now become something that I'm quite interested in seeing through.
that's awesome.
So lifting words from pages, you know, from this step to then, you know, to the final product, that seems a lot more interesting to me. Whereas before, showing up and you know, doing my lines, performing my work as a performer,
Right.
or hitting the ground, I was limited to just that. I didn't, you know, COVID did, you know, wonderful things came out of COVID. We're more efficient in many ways. You know, there's certain businesses that have now shuttered doors in you know, in their offices and stuff like that. Now it's all being handled remotely. For me, I got an opportunity to flex my, you know, my writing skills.
That's awesome.
And I wrote a short film, incidentally, that's called Your Kill. And I'll send it to you, or Chris can send it to you. But we had a
Is it
premiere
out?
down here. Well, we pushed it through the circuit, but we're trying to sell it as a larger piece.
Okay.
But it was basically I lifted words from my divorce and turned it into a short. It was a lengthy divorce, and
I'm
I,
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry. Wow.
But instead of us being just two people divorcing, we were in the short film we were two assassins.
Okay.
And the lengthy physical fight represented the non-physical fight, but it was still a fight in real life. And we're both chasing the one kill. And your kill, yeah, that's my kill. No, it's mine. It's mine. And then the kill, that kill represents the children, the custody battle. So that was a very interesting experience. It was just, I think it was just over 18 minutes, but it was $20,000.
Oh, yeah.
So, but
Going back to shorts are expensive.
yeah,
Good shorts.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I had tons of explosions and well, it was
And
explosive.
probably pulled in a lot of
It had
favors.
explosions, a lot of favors,
Yeah.
a lot of fight choreography went into it, and the hardest day at the office, that was it for me. Incidentally, the short film that had nothing to do with Hollywood and the big major studio productions.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. So you're gonna move. Obviously, you're still doing when I say Hollywood.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
main the stuff that.
Yeah, it's my bread and butter.
Right, I was gonna say that we're all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I'm actually looking at shooting a feature. Somebody asked me, but I'm doing my own project with Chris and many others actually.
Amazing.
Coming up down here, and it's gonna be. I'm very excited. It's a few months out, but
Yeah.
I've been writing it for a few years. It's like
Hell
it
yeah.
takes people don't get
Yeah.
how long.
I was
how
drained
long
after I
this-
wrote that.
Yeah?
For
Oh,
obvious
yeah.
reasons. But there was, even though I was drained, there was a great satisfying sense of completion, and it was therapeutic.
So what now, coming full circle, advice in this crazy environment we're at today, where does somebody even begin to,
Well, the beginning point is always going to be getting a class.
yeah, learning the craft.
Got to get in a class, learn the craft, and acting is presenting, and you can only present to an audience. So if you're not presenting yourself and you're not taking chances, and if you're not putting yourself out there and feeling like, like the teen boy who was so nervous to approach little Susie by her locker and ask her to prom, and feeling all those feelings inside, that's not going to happen until you get out there in a class and start feeling very uncomfortable. So I would tell anybody, get out there and feel uncomfortable. We can't do it by ourselves. You can't just stare at the mirror and say, I'm going to feel uncomfortable right now, because that's not how it happens. So you got to get in a class, start feeling uncomfortable, opening up that sort of casket of emotional arsenal, if you will, of inventory, and start inventorying your stuff. What is available to me? Because when we go through life, as we go through life, now I have a lot more that I'm aware of that is available to me that, but after my divorce than I did prior to. I have a lot more at 25 than I'm going to have at 18. Of course, there are prodigies out there that are 18, 19 that you see on screen. You're like, what are they tapping into?
Yeah. No, I know one or two of my kids, and I'm like, where do you go? Yeah, no, I get it.
And I see these guys, and I'm like, these kids, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing. But that's going to run out. So, if you're not building
If you're
upon
not
that.
exactly right.
So
exactly.
I've experienced so much, and I wouldn't take anything off the table. Pain, pleasure, and all that becomes part of your arsenal. So I would tell somebody, get into a class, and then start collaborating with people. Find yourself a videographer or somebody that is somewhat good with an iPhone, and start shooting your stuff. These iPhones, these iPads are anything after like.
If you can get a story and you can get some, yeah.
You can write a story that's 2 minutes long. Send on whether anything after like the iPhone 12, I think. Send it put it on YouTube. Start sending. Log into IMDb Pro and start sending it to agents. Get a good following, because now that's become a factor. If you have a good following on Instagram, and then secure an agent. That's what I would say. And then hunker down, just really anchor down, if you will, on what you're presenting. So if you're, in my case, it was easy because it came to me. I didn't look in the mirror and say, I should start presenting myself as a bad guy. It came to me. People kept saying that I look like a bad guy. I don't look like a bad guy. I don't know what you're talking about. My mom thinks I'm her baby. Yeah.
When I started losing this, I shaved it. I didn't have everybody said I was so intimidating looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So then I grew out the goatee. They're like, oh, you look even like scarier now. I'm like,
Yeah.
but I felt like, and so this started a few years ago as story for another day.
Yeah.
But it was a drinking thing. Going back to Eric Roberts earlier, I painted it purple for my daughter's thing, birthday, blah, blah,
love
blah.
it.
And everybody's like, no, you got to keep it now. And what I've noticed
Yeah.
is I'm approachable now. I know that sounds weird,
Yeah.
but before people would be like, shaved head, this look. They're like, you're.
Yeah.
They'd be like stone cold all the time. I'm like, you know, like I'm like, no. So I understand what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
like
'cause
your look seems intimidating sometimes, and it's like,
Hollywood is
so weird.
is successful at playing into the stereotypes.
Yes, 100%.
So I am a intimidating Latin man walking around that's bold. Am I gonna like submit for a youthful Caucasian blonde girl who's just out of high school? No.
Teeny bopper, Mean Girls.
Teeny bopper or boyish looks guy next door asking for sugar? No.
Exactly.
So Hollywood would be stupid not to put people into roles that are stereotypical.
Yeah.
That's your product. You know, that's what you need to lean into.
And
so find what that is, look in the mirror, be honest with yourself, and try to lock something down. Hey, I'm this guy, I'm a crackhead, you know.
This is what I look like. Yeah, exactly.
This is what I can pull off. And hone in on that, and then start presenting yourself as that guy, because what the agent's going to see is, even if you don't know what your product is, they're going to know.
Oh,
what is your category? They're going to know. Oh, I have another 3 people in in that category. I can't take you on. I can't put you on my roster.
Yeah, well, the psychology, they talk about a lot of filmmaking, because I've done a lot of cinematography, different things. They say the first time that character shows up on screen is what the character is going to be.
Yeah.
People judge, you know, like how we are when we see somebody, we judge them immediately, whether we think we're doing it or not. You know, and that's same thing with Hollywood.
Yeah. So I would be stupid to, you know, when we look at somebody, it's the first impression. That's the product you're presenting, whether you want to get in this business or not. I would be stupid to be like, oh no, I'm offended.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this guy that I'm portraying isn't me. How dare you? No, I'm going to bank on it.
I mean, yeah, you're like, okay, I'm going to lean into this. It may not be who I am. I could say you're definitely not a bad guy.
No.
I could say that. Quite the opposite.
But like you said, I'm going to lean into it, and I'm
Right.
going to capitalize off of it. So feelings, put those aside, and I can go home and be a nice guy.
100%.
I could still be my mom's baby.
Yep.
You know,
Dad to the 13-year-old.
she put together my bag
I
for
thought it was
Caleon
adorable
Tequila
with
today.
the
You
little
know,
glass
with
and
the
wherever
glass
we
and.
I was like, she's like, what? You're gonna go do a podcast?
Yeah, a podcast, okay. You know, so she put it together for me, so I can still be
That's
that guy.
good. Well, tell Mom.
Well, dude, I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
You kidding me? I think we gave some to Chris, but this
But
is.
now you have truth serum here for your. Future,
Oh yeah, no,
future
I'll be
guests.
ordering. I saw on the
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
the website right here.
Send me clips of those.
Yes,
know.
exactly. Wait, hold it up one more time.
Yeah, there.
The less than shameless plug. I'm waiting
yeah.
for your camera to focus in on the URL. So
I love
right
it.
there,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you could send me a clip of when we broke it out,
Oh yeah, of
you know,
course.
just that first sip with Chris, that'd be great, man.
It's so funny.
So I can throw that up.
Chris is such a lightweight, and we'll come, he'll have, you know, I'm not, you know, saying I'm a big drinker, but we've got a nice little bar over there. And so between wines and all that, so Chris will come by here. And I'm like, here, have one or two. And I have to cut him off early because he's such a lightweight. I love that he's so funny.
Yeah, he's such a great guy, man.
He's such
a great guy.
But that's what we're just talking about, people in this industry. And I've had a buddy of mine, Todd Bruno, who's done so many movies. He teaches at New York Film Academy. I've been very blessed in this industry to have some really great people. And the reason I'm mentioning that is I think we all kind of gravitate toward each other in the collective artistic community. And I see that in Miami. I just wish that, I guess we all do it behind the scenes, and you could kind of see in the podcast. I wish there were some big budget projects that were going. You know,
that's a whole different thing. I mean, you know, that I don't know why it hasn't been presented, and I don't know why legislators haven't seen the benefit that the incentive has been for Georgia.
Canada
I don't
and
know
Georgia
why there
have.
hasn't been like a major push to have that incentive come back to Florida. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it to me it's
And so much of
it's
Hollywood
weird.
is made in
Yeah.
Atlanta. People, the decision makers are there. I'm there. I was there. My kids are there right now. I was there last. You know, a lot of the decisions are made in LA.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of filming in LA right now.
No, I mean, the majority of the stuff right now is being shot outside of LA.
Yeah, 100%.
And most of it is in Atlanta.
I give people the analogy of Wall Street. If you're getting into the brokerage business and you get going to Wall Street just to mingle at the restaurants, I'm not going to mention, but the places, so you're in that sphere. But that doesn't mean you can't day trade. It doesn't mean you can be anywhere.
Yeah.
Same thing as you as a very working actor. LA is LA, and there's a lot of the nucleus and the decisions for a lot of that type of stuff.
Oh, no, yeah, the puppet masters are in LA.
Yes.
Let's be clear. 100%.
Right.
But there is a thriving film industry in South Florida years ago. I don't understand why
We lost it.
there hasn't been a major push for it. Now with social media, like a group of 4 people, it's not going to be me, 4 or 5 people hasn't gotten together that has some legislative, some influence with these legislators in Florida and has said, hey, we're going to make this happen.
Right.
It's weird to me. It really is.
And what drives me crazy is we have so much great talent.
Yeah, this is true.
I do. It's just, I see it. I work with it. I know it, and then I'm like, why? Why are people? Anyway, that's a sidebar.
It's a whole
It's a whole nother. We're not solving that with this
No.
tequila and this.
No,
but
it's not
This
getting
has been
solved.
delicious. It's been amazing,
Dude, thank you.
What time is it? How long? Okay, we did good. We've been going we're up to 2 hours.
Oh, man.
Hour 58.
Well, dude, I gotta pee and get going.
I was just going to say the same here. I'm like, I think it's time to hit the men's room. We drank a lot of water and tequila.
yeah.
And I can't thank you enough.
No, thank you.
Truly. This is great. And thank you for sharing the story. Is there something I didn't ask you that everybody asks you or you want to share with the people in the airports or your daughter's friends they're like, that's my dad?
Don't be a tryhard.
Don't be a I'm right in there. Don't be a tryhard, everybody.
Don't be a tryhard.
Just enjoy it. Lean in the journey.
That's it.
God bless you. My daughter's 20. I have a lot of friends I've been in who have kids.
Yeah.
And your daughter's 13.
Yeah.
It's a hard age right now.
Tell me. I'm sharpening my
20.
tools.
And by the way, it gets good, and then when they're 20, right now, I got this. It's
I'm
tough
trying to
again.
decide
It's tough. I think I've been told it comes back again.
I'm trying to decide what axe I'm going to be sharpening when boys start showing up at the front door.
I've just recently embraced this, and we won't be talking about that on camera. But
thank you so much, my friend.
Buddy. You
Truly
kidding
pleasure.
me? No, you have to keep. It's my little part. You gave me very good tequila.
Oh, man.
I'm giving you rice paper.
Well, thank you.
People are like,
Yeah.
"What is the rice paper?"
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's a hair thing. Well, you guys will have to look up rice paper pads one day. But you always keep these on when you're on camera.
Well,
but,
thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
you,
much to everybody the 7, 8, 9 viewers we got.
Yeah, I think we're up to 10 today.
10.
Yeah.
Well, with you,
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
got
have
up to 10. Yeah.
And go see Bad Boys. And what's
Bad Boys,
what's
Ride or
the
Die.
scene? Give me the scene that happens so when they're watching, they can.
Oh,
they see the.
Yeah.
you'll see-
The wonderful
the car
thing
hits you, right?
No, it doesn't hit me. I get tackled to the ground.
Okay.
And it made the movie.
It's in the movie.
So every time that I see that movie, I'll be traumatized. I'll have PTSD.
PTSD from there. So.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much.
And now next we'll have to get JJ Perry.
Yeah. Wow.
And all that, because I haven't seen him in years, and all the stunt stuff. And I have so much respect for you guys, because it's a hard.
Dude.
It's harder. That's why I laugh when people are like, they don't understand people.
Yeah, look at
right.
my knees. So that was a gag. See it split?
Yeah.
See? It right there.
What did you?
I got to get it surgery. It popped. It popped the quad.
So if you're going to be a stunt person, you're kind of Frankenstein.
Yeah. So I'll finish this, then I'll go to this. It's always something getting fixed.
It's always something good.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the head real quick.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
No, I think.
Oh, you know what? Before I forget, because I done that before.
Oh,
and,
you don't want to take the lab while you go pee.
And it is
because it gets a weird sound, and then we all go. What?
Yeah, and then you're gonna throw
There
that
you go.
into the podcast.
I'll put it in the podcast. I'll be like, listen to him go to the bathroom. And the dog's still in there. He's scratching away. He says, he's like, I'm just hanging out, everybody.